Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Hello to you. Hello to you. And welcome. Welcome. And if you're just tuning in and you don't know who we are the Sawyers. And this is Cornerstone Life Center. We meet together every Sunday morning, right here.
Same time, same station.
In the comfort of our homes. Isn't that good? Or wherever we are. Okay. I'm glad you're here with us. Let's see. Make sure I got everything in the right spot here. Yeah, okay. Let's see who's in the house. Of course, James Dixon tuned in this morning at about 9:10 a.m. Good morning, James. Good morning, Sissy and brother-in-law. Good morning, Vern. Good morning to you, Dee Dee and George. And there's Deb. Hey, Deb. And there's Phyllis and Edward. Phyllis and Edward had you on my mind quite a bit. And there's Pastor Norman. Hey, Pastor Norman. Hope things are going well for you this morning. Marvita's here. Hey, sweetheart.
Good to
That's
see you.
Pastor Hill's daughter.
Yeah. Good to see you.
I didn't know if you remembered. Hey, Joe, I'm glad you tuned in today. We've been missing you a little bit on here. I'm glad you let us know you're seeing us. And John Greason's in the house.
Dr. John.
And then here comes Sandra. Hey, Sandra. Good morning. Good morning to you guys. Good morning to you. Well, I tell you, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Uh-oh.
Isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It is. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. There's Cheryl. Hey, Cheryl and Gary. How y'all
Cheryl
doing?
and Gary. All right.
Yeah.
Good to see
Glad you guys are tuning in with us today. I want to do our meditation thing in a minute, but let me just, before I do that, put in here about the Zoom. That's what I want to make sure I tell you about. We're doing the Zoom on this Friday coming. It'll be at 7 p.m. And if you're interested, you can click the link that's in the comment section and join us. Also, I'll put it in the description, the place where the description under the video. You probably can find it right there as well to click on it. So we're looking forward to that. We, of course, don't really pre-plan our sessions. So it isn't like a 3-point thing. You have to come, and we all come for discovery. So Oliver, which is our good friend and brother, he said that it's more like a satsang. And for those of you who don't know what a satsang is, it's where people gather and they come together to discover truth together. And it's not a pre-planned or a lesson. It's just whatever intuitively arises. So that's why I wanted you to bring your questions. By the way, you could have sent your questions through email right now before time. If you want, that will kind of give Pastor and I some direction as to which way to go as far as the conversation. We don't want it to just be a fellowship on Zoom, even though we'll be glad to see your faces. We don't want it to turn into just that, because I do believe that there are some things that will come out for you if we go ahead and really utilize that time. And who knows, there may be some personal ministry that will be done during that time as well. And by the way, since you can see us and you can talk back at us in the Zoom, you can minister to me and Pastor.
Sure can.
Couldn't they? Yeah. So anyway.
We don't get that too often. We didn't when we was in the brick and mortar.
Exactly. So
it's always that way.
Yeah. So if you just came in and you didn't hear, you can click the link to register for the Zoom. It's in the comments section. And also it's in the description section as well under the video. If you're on YouTube, I don't know if it's on, I think it's in the description section on Facebook as well. Facebook has been doing some screwy things. So anyway, they changed our Facebook page and I've been trying my best to get it like I want it. Haven't been able to do it yet. But we're good. And since I've been talking, Jill's came in and David Singleton's here. Hey, good morning, y'all.
Good morning,
Hey,
good
Brother
morning.
Blue and the family. And there's Sister Chris. Hey, Sister Chris. She's right. It is a beautiful day.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's do our affirmations. Affirmation, meditation, prayer, whichever you want to, however you want to classify it. And before we do that, I want you to put your mind aside for a moment, if you can put it aside. That chattering mind, that is, the one that keeps you thinking about what you want and what you need and what you don't want, what you don't need, and that one. Put that one aside. Like you take your shoes off when you go in the house. Just put it aside. You don't need it right now. You don't need any comments. You don't need any opinions. You don't need any of that. In fact, you don't even need any desires at this moment. You just need to empty out as much as possible, surrender as much as possible. The grace to surrender is right there with you. Do that and take a deep breath in and let it out. And take another deep breath in. And now release it. And you can repeat after me or listen, whichever is best for you. I am a portal of consciousness streaming down through the crown chakra into this form. I am a continuous stream, never static. I am a download from higher dimensions. This is what I am. I am a light stream blowing through this mortal flesh. I am an immortal essence and life being. As I flow into this body, I am experienced as an individual. I come forth as writings, sayings, laughter, facial expressions, thoughts, and feelings. And yet there is no person here that possesses these qualities. I am purely a stream of unconditioned consciousness. There is, in fact, no person here to attract or to project. Just a stream, a flow of pure light and awareness. I am the one who looks for another and finds itself. As this stream of unconditioned consciousness, I am the carrier of revelations and insights. This is a clear indicator of what I truly am. I stream through this mind. I stream through this body until such time as this mind and body no longer functions. I appear to others as conditioned awareness, leaving the impression of a person that others think I am.
Hmm.
That which is left after this body dies will be evidence that this portal was once open. And I, as pure consciousness, flowed into this earth existence. Premeditation and thinking only serve to veil my essence. As the flow, I never cease. And I am often thought to be solid matter. Others looking on may think that everything originates from me as a person. But there is no person to claim what comes forth as the stream. The stream is pure and gentle and free and clear. I am pure, gentle, free, and clear. It has no shape, but it can appear to take shape. I have no shape, but I appear as a shape. What I truly am is veiled by my own appearing. This unconditioned consciousness is the only reality. And it is what I am. And so it is. That felt good. Now say this with me. My future is bright and beautiful.
My future is bright and beautiful.
Again, my future is bright and beautiful.
My future is bright and beautiful.
Once more, my future is bright and beautiful.
My future is bright and beautiful.
That's called taking back your mind,
Okay.
because your mind wants to go in another direction.
When you start reading stuff like that and as they listen, that automatically moves you to a higher vibration frequency.
Mhm.
And it also brings you into a place of the light body
Mhm.
comes up and peeps out and look around through your eyeball.
Yes, it does.
Mhm.
What you got on your plate today? I know you got something good. What is it?
You think so?
It's always good.
Well, I'm going to talk about a little bit things that happened to us before we came over here and came into this magical world.
Okay.
And some of it is about the 7 manifestations of one spirit, or 7 manifestations, just briefly, of the 7 angelic beings, light beings that work with us, and 7 earth angels, particularly on the earth, that carry a tremendous, I would say, stigmata, but it's stigmata means the marks of Jesus, but they carry the indicators with them, and they let you know as you begin to move in a more sensitive awareness. Now, this is what I'm going to say now is the clue, Brother Gary and Cheryl, to ministering deliverance the way we were taught in the brick and mortar. we were taught that it was the anointing and the gift of God that did this. But we're going to approach it from a wholeness state, because if our Lord was not fully aware of who he was, even though he would have, based on the book, done these things, by him knowing to the dotting of the I and the crossing of the T, he knew how to bring healing to people without any indicators or indication of positionalities.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We often in the brick and mortar talk about the fivefold ministry: the apostle, prophet, evangelist, pastor, and teacher. We talk about them, and then we get over into the enlightenment of the sages and all the teachers of the eternal self. And then we get over into the area where we used to hear a lot of teaching about spirit, soul, and body, and they was telling us it was said that we say not soul, not body, soul, and spirit, but it is spirit, soul, and body. And I put that out front, the spirit, because soul, from what we were taught, was the mind, body, emotions, and will. And when you get over into this thing, you find out that they use a capital S and a small case S to indicate the large case is the big boss spirit or the Holy Spirit. And then the small case S is our small self. But as you move on into this, there are some people say that let's talk about a lot of spiritual warfare, but what makes this thing a lot easy is when you and I was like this, Brother Cheryl, and you and your wife. I was like this, Sister Cheryl and Gary. I was like this when we first got into the pastoral side of the fivefold. But we gradually talked about our union with Christ. And if you remember, we hit on it a few times, but we didn't stay in it because of the environment that we were in. And then, too, we did not, at that point, see and know as much about it then as we do now. And which brought about more experiencing on the other side. And my investigations into these areas of the wisdom of the Spirit, how to, when to, and what to, it brought us finally to this point. But there were moments when we went into the teaching of union with Christ and come out of it and go back to the fragmentation teaching of the old style, the hoopty and the preaching and the shouting and the praising, which is okay, and the spiritual warfare, it's okay. It all depends on where you are. But we found out that when it said he cast the dark spirits out by his word, we've always thought it meant book, or then some said the spoken word. But when you get over into the fullness of awareness of your true identity and union, you find out that your presence or the presence of God can do the same thing in a total turnaround, a total difference. That's the reason why when Jesus was in the book, he was in the temple, and his presence made certain energies in certain people react. Now, we find that to be the let there be portion of our true identity, or the I amness, or the beingness. In the beingness, alreadiness, absoluteness, no going and coming of God. Like we always read the day of Pentecost, the Spirit filled the room. I've always wondered, and if we were in a room and we didn't feel or sense anything, would the room still be filled with him? And the answer to that, in omnipotence and omnipresence, yes. But we were always taught that there had to be something extra to be done in order to get a dark entity out or to minister healing and things like that. But when we got deeper into our union with Christ, we found out that we can do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
The same identical thing can be done through waking up to your true identity.
Yes. Yes.
Now, I'm not talking about waking up to your identity and running online or your inheritance of bloodline and generational family and things like that. I'm not talking about that. I'm out of that.
Right.
Breaking curses off of each other.
Because and it's basically we're out of that because it's only relative to your body as a physical entity.
Yeah, and then you get over into the area of cause and effect and the karma, what you sow, you reap, and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me, please. When you lay the sword down, like Jesus said, I could, if I wanted to, if he wanted to, ask the Father and for so many angels to come and defend and work for him. He did not have to do that because he was functioning in the full embodiment of his true identity. Now we'll say we haven't got to that point yet. Yes, we have.
Mm-hmm.
Let me say it to you like this: from my investigating into the mysteries of it, everybody on this planet, whether they know about what we're talking about, spiritual warfare or not, they are actually the fullness of God in their eternal self. And it would do good if we would study into the definition of eternal self and who we really are. And you know, I heard one lady say, somebody asked the question, how did she know this? And she said, after a certain experience with your infinite divine self, you just know. There's a knowing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think you read some of that out of something. I don't know where you read it. I feel the presence of it in some of the stuff you read, and even on the sayings. You will actually understand, the more you move into the union with Christ, how that we are, every one of us was inside of Jesus and inside of everybody you read about, whether good or bad, in the Bible. Mm-hmm. Now, in the limited mind of reasoning, you would say, not literally. Let's say, yes, it was literally spirit, and the spirit, I'm not talking about a wrong spirit, bad spirit, getting inside of people, making them do things. I'm talking about your essence of God, the eternal self, no dying self, no birthing self, no anger self, no short temper self, no begging self, no seeking self, no wanting self, no propositioning self, no fasting self,
no
negotiation self, no trying to get higher heights and deeper depth self, no understanding the scripture self, no reading and studying and fasting self. I'm going through as many as I can for you guys out there to understand that what we came through in the book, there is a place you can be with God, your true identity, and all these things in fragmentation and separation that we look for in pieces is made whole. 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 Complete in Christ, the complete package.
Yes.
Glory be to God. Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad you said all of that. There is also a place in your walk, I'll say your walk with God, in your spiritual journey, if you've come through the Christian religion, you have put the Bible on a pedestal and declared that it was, in fact, the inerrant Word of God, when in fact it is the exposition of man's primitive idea of God and man's evolution of its understanding of God. And so I said this yesterday when we were talking, that some of the things that we read in the Bible now no longer serve me, not because it's not true, or not because I don't believe it, but because I now have a higher understanding.
Yeah, a clearer.
So yes, a very higher understanding. It's higher learning, such as we were all made in the image of God in the creation narrative. That we were formed from the dust and all of this. We really don't know how it all happened. Whoever was inspired to write it doesn't really know how it all happened, except for what it was inspired to write. And that may have been coming from a limited understanding in that being's mind. And so now I realize that we are not simply creations that God spit out and just put on the earth, but we are in fact that emerging of life. We are emerging from life. And I heard a spiritual teacher say this on last night. I was listening to him. He said, we emerged from God or into life the same way a wave emerges from the ocean. It comes up, it takes form, it has all the same qualities as the ocean. It runs its course and it gets big and it makes all kinds of shapes. It does all kinds of things. People can ride on it.
Yeah.
People can it has all of the qualities, but then it runs its course and it goes right back down into that it came from and that it is. That's us. We emerged from God the same way. We emerged and we came up and we took in individual form. And we now are running our course in this human life. And we have all of the same qualities, even though I'm not the ocean, but I am the ocean. It's true both. Both is true. I'm not the ocean, but I am the ocean. I'm the ocean running its course as an individual. And then eventually it will come to an end. I will come to an end. The I that is here will come to an end and go right back into where it came from. And that's my understanding now. So I'm not looking for a big man on a throne who actually came down and shaped some mud. And you know what I mean? Not that if you want to believe that, that's fine. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'm just saying if you get a higher understanding, you'll realize how God actually did all this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you also, as you wake up to a greater seeing of your true identity, man of the universe, you know this.
Good morning. Yes. Good morning.
To share this again, you come to the place where you are the absolute truth.
Yes.
And you are the necessary, unnecessary doings of God with or without effort. And as we used to think that we can't be walking one with God if I got a spot on my hand, or if I got a bad thought, or if I said something to somebody to offend them, and if I cussed at it. And this is not giving us a license to do that.
Yeah.
But I've embraced the fullness of this without any change.
Without seeing any change.
Without seeing or feeling any difference.
You embrace the truth before you actually experience the truth.
And with that, I could understand how certain people can go to heaven and an out-of-body travel or a near-death experience and can still see all these things that they write about. Some are true and some are not. And also you come to the place where there is no more agreeing and disagreeing with anybody, because when you enter into rest, there is a seeing freedom, or freedom of seeing beingness, that you are inside of everybody beyond agreements and disagreements of lifestyles.
Yeah. Even to embrace the truth of that scripture that says, in him we live, move, and have our being.
Yeah.
If I'm living in God, if I'm moving in God, if I have my being in God, it's not me here and God there.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a whole different way of seeing. Then I want to just mention the comments that came in. Man of the Universe says spiritual texts are meant to get us to the next level of understanding, not necessarily meant to be taken as absolute truth. Yes, and the principles of it is what is important. And Sister Pearl, hey, sweetie, she says, what if everything was created from the human mind of Adam and everything kept producing after its kind? And it did.
That is very well so.
And I believe that is true. That and as I've said before, we are great, wonderful creators, the same as our Father, which is the essence of what we are. However, our creations in this world, because this world is really an illusion and a dream, in the sense that it is not what it appears to be. When we create, and we do, our creations are temporal. They're not permanent.
Okay. Here's something, Miss Leslie, for you and some of the others. When you called us and said that you were in a medical situation and you had to go to the emergency room to get checked out, let me give you a little hint to that. And this is the higher order of insight and wisdom that I was allowed to peep into. When it is time for you, the Christ self, to meet somebody, it don't have to be a physical reason, but since it is available, God still uses these things that you're dealing with in your body as kindling, firewood, fuel to get you in the environment of certain doctors. Now watch this. Don't have to tell them anything. Just this is really something I saw was so real. I'm ready to meet somebody, so I'm going to not waste the conditioned self. Wow. I'm not going to waste the firewood of using this as a potential edification. For it is time for you, the Christ self, to go to the hospital just for them to tinker and mess with you. Now, we get so caught up in the pain, the hurt, and all that. That's fine.
Yeah.
But this is what I saw. This is what was shown to me personally. And each time I go see a doctor, I talk to them somewhere in there about the other side. That's the reason why the experiences that we have had and having now with God and seeing, hearing, I investigated and I studied that 24/7. I studied it for years because I wanted to see Jesus everywhere he is, as under the definition of the word, omnipotent, omnipresent, everywhere at one time. So with that being in place, I don't have to wait for God to tell me, or I don't have to wait for a sickness to tell me, or a pain to tell me, or a doctor's appointment to tell me. I look at that like it's time for me to see him. It's time for me to allow him to touch Christ.
So what you're saying is, before, whenever anything happens to your physical being
Mhm.
that causes you to have to go to some medical to get
Mhm.
medical intervention, even then you put on that mind of Christ.
That's right.
You put on that mind of Christ.
And then pretty
Christ,
soon
Christ going into this hospital setting,
yeah,
Christ going into this medical
and
setting,
meeting
and
himself.
Christ meeting the doctors as himself,
Mhm.
and the doctors meeting Christ on this side.
Mhm.
So you put that mind on.
But it slipped.
But we so often we don't put on the mind of Christ.
Yeah.
We don't put it on. And then we go thinking we're just there because our bodies are failing.
And we say all the time, God never makes a mistake.
Yes. Yes.
Is he gonna not make mistakes because it's for your benefit?
Yes.
Or he never made a mistake, or he made a mistake because what you're going through didn't look like it was God.
Exactly. Now I got another great comment. Now, hello, Leslie. I mean, not Leslie. I'm sorry, baby. I looking at somebody else and said your name. Miracle Lux. I don't know who you are, but I'm glad you're here with us today. Anyway, Marvita says this. She says the learning and evolving is a continuous experience. It's school.
Yeah.
When you learn what you need to in each grade, you take that and go to the next level.
Yes.
It's not limited to just the grade you're in.
Yeah.
Those in higher grade levels never judge those who have not been exposed to what we have learned.
There you go.
Meaning college student doesn't judge the grade school students for what they don't know. When they passed each level, they advance to the next.
Yeah.
And yes, we celebrate it, as a matter of fact.
Mm-hmm.
Very well said.
It's going on around our neighborhood.
Very well said.
A lot of graduations going on, and Father's Day is coming up, and so all kinds of things come up. But there is a place where you stand in the oasis of the universe, at the core of the hottest center of the earth. You stand there. You may call it, and let me tell you something, call it by words, name it, fit and don't fit, does not change who you are beyond the core of the earth. Let me take you a little bit in a taste of first person. When the world was being made, you did it. I did it. When the sun needed to shine, I did it. I'm switching over to the I, Christ, eternal self. Now I can switch it back over and say, I was with God when he did it, or God did it, and I finding out about it. But I switched it over to first person. Go ahead.
Yeah. If I were not conscious, nothing would exist.
Okay.
And that's what you're saying. If you were not conscious, none of this would exist. There would be no sun.
Yeah.
Because there's no one to experience the sun.
Look what Leslie said about that.
What?
He drove the car.
And we met new people.
And he met new people. That's first person. That's second person, because you're talking about somebody. But if you put it in first person, say, I drove the car and I met some new people.
Right.
But it sounded like Leslie talking. But remember what I said. Your voice is the voice of God 24/7, whether you're aware of it or not, good or bad. The voice that I'm talking about is not words. See, you come in, when you wake up to your true self, you operate out of wordless statements. You operate out of wordless definitions, wordless pronunciations, wordless paper and ink.
Do you remember the story of Helen Keller? If you ever watched that movie of how they how she was born and everything. Helen Keller, most of you, I'm sure all of you know, she had no sight. She was blind. She could not hear. She couldn't even speak. So that I remember there was a scene in the movie where this lady who was trying to teach her had to reach her, because having no awareness of anything without the sight and the ears, she couldn't see things and she couldn't hear things. So it's like they didn't exist. And I remember there was a scene in the movie where she was trying to teach her what water was. And all of a sudden, Helen Keller, I remember her groveling on the ground at a pump, a water pump. And she was just beginning to feel it with her hands.
Mm-hmm.
And it clicked in her. Something clicked in her. She became aware this is water. And then she became aware of the dirt. Then she became aware of she ran around different things touching because she became aware. All of a sudden, these things came into existence because she was aware.
Mm-hmm.
If we were not aware, if we were not consciousness itself, there would be nothing. Nothing
That's
would
right.
exist. For her, water didn't exist. Nothing existed until she was aware and actually could experience it. So that's the way we are. We're the
Mhm.
same way. We are the actual awareness and consciousness that God is.
When I look at America Got Talent, and there's some people come on there that know good well that they can't sing.
Yeah. Well, they don't know. That's the point.
Well,
They don't know. They
Well, I'm
think they
sorry,
can.
don't know.
They think they
They
can.
think they can.
Yeah.
And they started with
But everybody else
with
knows.
the staff and the council there with Simon and the rest of them, and begin to say harsh things back to them.
Mhm.
And one thing I like about what's his name,
Simon.
Simon, is that if you watch that a lot, you find out his intuition is
It's very strong.
very strong.
Mhm.
Now, the reason why, now, even though they sing different kinds of music, let's get out of the different kinds and just look at the function. He is one of those light beings that was sent from the music department or the training of the ear,
Mhm.
the universe from inside. See, what if I would say to you
Yeah.
that at birth, after coming forth, we turn around inside of these bodies and face the God direction
Mhm.
or the eternal essence direction so finite that the reason why we can't hear and see God 24/7 like we'd like to is because being so oneness, I say being so oneness that it's right in your nose. You look for God in every place in the universe, but you never thought about looking at Him being you in and with all of the shortcomings.
Mhm.
No way to
Mhm.
compare with somebody that's got something that function as a gift
Yeah.
than you do. Never seeing that what we call flaws. And I wish we would take back the ground from the dark world and admit that dark world does not have power to stop you from seeing God unless you or they use the power of your identity to get you it convinced that they can block you.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Now we're coming home. We're coming home, and we're gonna find out we never left home.
Mhm.
We're coming back, and we're gonna find out we ain't went nowhere.
Exactly.
The went.
We are home.
Yeah, we are the home.
Yes.
Home
Yes.
boy, home girl.
I don't just mean we're at home, but we ourselves.
We are the
We
house.
are what home is.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
We are what home is.
Let's just say, go on home. Say, go home.
Go home.
And
yes.
you go home by the way you change the way you see things.
Yes.
My God Almighty.
Yes. Yes.
I
Yes.
could cut a step right now. Kill a rock and train.
And your way of seeing things is being changed by every experience that you have. And that's one of the reasons our experiences happen. Not so much that they're just things happening to us or that we're experiencing, but they're there to change our outlook.
That old song said, "Baby, come back."
And
You can make a fool of me. I am saying.
what happens to you that we consider negative or adverse, it'll either make you bitter or
Mhm.
better.
Better.
Bitter or better.
Better,
It will change how
better,
you see
whatever
things.
word I'm trying to.
And
Two
you
words
have,
together.
and you said it, you have a choice in every experience that you face to turn in the God direction.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of turning into the darkness, you can turn into the light direction.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you can. Good morning, Sinette from Denmark. She says, home we are, the house, the chair, the dog, and the people.
Hot dog. Hey, you on the ball. I'm telling you. Oh
Yes,
boy,
sir.
say you on
Yes,
the
yes,
ball
yes.
and you got the ball rolling. Come on in there. Come on in
Exactly.
there. Sit down. And I heard somebody say they pull up a chair and Jesus took the form of the chair and they sat down in his lap.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And in his lap, he wrapped himself around you, my God Almighty, and gave you some sugar from the inside and called it the kiss of God. Woo!
I heard a
Somebody slapped me.
I heard a
Hold on
spiritual teacher say this last night. He said, "Use your anger,"
Mm-hmm.
and I thought this was really, really good. He said, "For those who say, why do bad things keep happening to me?" He says, "Use your anger and turn it, convert it." He says, "Why does good things keep happening to me?
Mm-hmm.
Why does good things keep happening to me?"
Oh Lord, I've heard that many times. Hey, I tell you what. And this is a story, but I'm gonna share it with you. My uncle would be in the kitchen in the moonshine shotgun days house, and somebody would get out of line, and he'd have to tone them down.
After he toned himself down.
Yeah, but now he went to another bootlegger's house. I remember that. You went going with him.
You were with him.
Yeah, I went to a lot of bootleg houses, and he was at this house over in Winston, and the man that running the house was he made time in prison, come out, and he was a businessman because he owned stores and buildings in Winston. And one of the places he had was one of the houses was next to one of his building complex, and everybody knew that you could go there and cars would be lined up on the side of the road or the street, and they'd be getting out, going in there to get them a drink, and somebody would be out in the yard playing checkers. There's always something going on in this house. I'll show it to you sometime. We go back to Winston, and it's real close there. And he started cranking up his stuff, fighting somebody in the house. And this guy that was a good friend of his was named Brewer. They call him Brewer.
Mm-hmm.
My uncle started that stuff like he was in his house. And Brewer said, "We'll have none of that in here."
He stopped it, didn't he?
Yes, my uncle stopped like a train had a flat tire. He stopped.
But he took ownership of his house.
Yeah, but
I'm
he was
saying
going
the
to
man,
something.
the
Yeah,
man took
yeah.
ownership of his
yeah,
own house.
Yeah.
Yes.
The lady's name was Miss Artist, they called her. But he stopped. And I remember we went out in the country after a big meeting. He did the same thing again at a lady's house out there in Louisville, North Carolina. And she said, "We will have none of that in here."
But you know,
And he stopped.
that's interesting, because what they were saying is this space that you're in right here, there's not going to be any of that energy in this space.
That's right. Hey.
And we should do the same thing, taking ownership of our personal space.
That's right.
There will be none of that
That's
here.
right. And I remember my brother-in-law was in the kitchen.
Which brother-in-law?
Your oldest brother.
My brother.
Yeah, and he was talking some crazy stuff. And he's talking to me. And I told him, I said, wait a minute.
He often talk crazy stuff.
Yeah,
So yeah.
I told him, I said, you wait a minute. Now he lived about 50, 60 miles from me, and we will pick him up. I told him, I said, wait a minute. I said, you see that front door? I said, I will put you out this front door in the front yard and not let you back in, and you will have to walk home. I said, no, sir, you don't come. I don't care if you are my brother-in-law. You don't come in here the way you are now.
That's right.
So
and you took ownership.
Yeah.
But see, that's what we all have to do for our personal space. We have to take ownership. And say what energy we will allow and what energy
that's one of the things was told me about training the dog, a dog trainer, or a dog training us.
Yeah.
One of the first things in dog training, you have to understand their world. It's with sound and vibrations.
Mm-hmm.
You understand their world. You understand their way of communication.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. When I go upstairs at night to get into bed, baby girl laying across the bed, she's taking half the bed.
Yeah.
I get to her ear. I said, you're going to have to move. I got to get into bed. She'll stay there for a second or two. And I go into her world of communication by physical speaking.
Exactly. Not using words.
No words at all.
You physically.
I just pull the cover back over. Is she there? I throw it on top of her head and she's up under there.
If she's there, you just lay on her.
I just lay right on it and so she'll move.
She has to move. But that's how they do in their pack.
Yeah, yeah.
They use body language.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, let me tell you something when I found out. Some of us come here to become soul communication.
Mm-hmm.
Soul communication. We come here just solely to communicate the giftings of God, or the gift of the eternal self, and to talk to them about things that we woke up to from the other side.
Mm-hmm.
That will be a most prevalent function of you guys here that function and do anything in the enlightenment, waking up, eternal awareness self. Okay?
Yes.
You and you don't and you are so fluent and flowing in this stuff that even Noah's Ark potentiality to build that boat is still every operation that was in any one of those people, even around the table of the Passover. You were one of those 12 essence around that table, even all the way down to Judas. You were inside of him, watching and observing the whole thing, and yet you were him. Now, mama, oh God Almighty, I feel this stuff. Some of us come here to meet people and tell them or allow them to tell us about what happened to us when we crossed over in other lifetimes. Some of us will eventually, as we wake up, find out that we chose the kind of test over here.
Yes, we did.
The kind of test over here that would cause us and others to see the full script.
That's it. That's
why they over? Lord have mercy.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
No,
that's good. That's good.
Oh, somebody help me. I'm about ready
so
to
we're not only
here.
going through things for us to evolve, but for others to evolve as they watch how we go through those things. Wow. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. I not only like that, I know that.
I mean, see the full script. We all came here to be instruments and pieces of puzzles for each other to find out our union with each other in Christ.
Go back to the one you just read before.
We chose to come here, and we brought with us the kind of test over here that would cause others to see their full script.
Vern, you hear that? That explains why you've been going through what you're going through, sweetheart. Because as we see you, we have seen the grace of God walking
right.
in you, through you, and by you.
Excuse me. You go ahead. I got to.
No.
I'm gonna have to. Make sure. It's
Well, look.
It's emergency. Go
Oh,
ahead.
it's an emergency. I think
Yeah.
you just told everybody
Yeah.
what it was, right?
Yeah, I did.
Anyway, you guys, I think it's about time to quit anyway. And Vern, I hope you heard that, honey bun. That helped me. I hope it helps you. You know, you were saying, what is this lesson I've got to learn? That is the key. That's the missing part of it. That's the missing piece. That you've gone through what you've been through because others have had to look upon you to see how you have navigated through this with the grace of God. I think it's great what is taking place and how much we have seen and understand. It is remarkable when you begin to experience this higher learning. It's remarkable when your eyes come open to how vast and expansive your God and you are. Now, I want to remind you again of the Zoom, okay? Zoom is this Friday at 7, and you need to register so that you can get in. The link will be sent to you. The minute you register, you get the link. So the link's in the comment section, also in the description section of this video. So, yes, Vern. Yes, it helps me too, honey bun. That helps me too. So that's what I'm hoping you'll do. You'll come to the Zoom, and we can discuss more of this really good mystical talk. You call it crazy talk, but we get ready to stop.
Okay. Let me tell you all of this right quick. The reason why I had to get up then was this. I did something this morning, and this is a physical thing that you can do that will help you.
Let me move this first, okay? Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I got up this morning. I took a teaspoon full of soda and a teaspoon of vinegar with mother in it. I put it in a small glass, stirred it up.
Just that, nothing else.
I put green tea with it.
And green tea.
And mixed it up, green tea. Some people might want to use honey. What that would do is cause the fluid over the water
to get rid of fluid.
And as you do this on the empty stomach, first thing in the morning, because you do it at night, you go to bed, you may
not sleep.
Yeah,
right.
But I tried something this morning, and a teaspoon of vinegar with mama in it, or your mother, or somebody's mama in it.
Yeah. Bragg's is the brand that we use.
Just a teaspoon in a little glass, and mix it with whatever you want to make it taste good.
And it gets rid of all excess
it
fluid.
does. Mm-hmm.
And so you had to go let some fluid go.
Yeah. But here's another one. For ladies who don't like water or had trouble drinking ice water, whatever, I found out that the soda has a tendency to make water taste sweet.
It does.
And if you just do this one or two times and get the feeling of it, you will understand what I'm talking about.
Well, that's a good physical tip.
Yeah,
it's a good physical tip. Now
I got some more. We'll get back into it later.
Yeah. So Vern said she got that, honey. That was good. That we just talked about.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah.
Now the link again is right there in your comment section. And I want to say this, I think only about 24 of you have actually signed up. So please go ahead and register if you plan to do it. Also, I would love to have a question from you. You can email it to me or whatever. I'd like to have your questions, at least one question ahead of time. Or if not a question, something that you would like to see discussed. So do that before Friday, please, ma'ams and sirs. And in the meantime, you got to do this. You got to express your abundance by giving.
Please help us
Ex-
financially.
Express your abundance by giving. Express your abundance by giving.
Yes.
That's how you do it. You have to circulate your money in order for the flow to keep coming back into you. So you need to do that. And good ground doesn't necessarily mean a person who has got it all together or a church that's got it all together. Good ground is where it resonates and you are that ground that the seed is sown in. So we just sowed seeds in you today. Express your abundance by giving. You can do that by texting to Cornerstone, that's CLC Greensboro, to 73256, or you can go to the website, which is the Cornerstone Life Center. You can use paypal.me/cornerstone35. And if you don't want to do that, you need to mail it in. You can do it by P.O. Box 36259, Greensboro, North Carolina, 27416. And if you want to bless Pastor and myself personally, use the Cash App $A Sawyer C. Or you can do paypal.me/ACE Sawyer 72. Or you can mail it to the same P.O. Box.
Now, is next weekend Father's Day weekend?
I think it is, yes.
If it is, I know a lot of you would may be busy, with your families during that time. We'll still be here.
Oh, yeah.
We'll still be here.
Definitely.
And we look forward to seeing all of you. You have blessed us today, and you have blessed us in the past, and you will continue to bless us, whether we hear statements from you. You are an established Jesus in the mountain, on the mount, but the 4,000, 5,000, you were in 4,000, 5,000 people, plus Peter, James, and John, and him at the same time experiencing the miracle of the loaves and the fish that was multiplied out of one basket to fill their bodies and soul with nourishment. Thank you for filling us with the nourishment of the gifts that you have sent to us in the past, and thank you for nourishing us physically with the finances that you know that God had told you to send to us, and thank you so much.
Yes, you guys. We will see you again on Tuesday, Lord willing, and at 7.
At 7.
And then again on Thursday for impromptu. I think Pastor Norman's going to be out of town, so he may not be able to be with us on Thursday, but Pastor and I'll be here, and we'll have another conversation.
Thank you.
And we love you. We'll see you next time. Don't forget to give and be safe and have a wonderful afternoon.
Until next time, keep your chin up. We'll see you then.
Yeah.